Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, your moderator for the session today. I welcome you all today to our 58th Ask the Expert Parichay Webinar. The topic for today is Enhancing Learning and Development with Artificial Intelligence. Now, that is the topic, I think, which has been trending a lot, and we would love to hear from our expert today, her views and insights on the same. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. The session is divided into two parts. The first part will be our discussion with the expert today, which will then be followed by the audience Q&A. Also, the session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We've got you covered. We will share the recording with you once it is done. And also, you can watch the recording on our greytHR YouTube channel next week. Okay, now without any further delay, I think we have the quorum to start the session. Today, as I said, we will dive into the exciting realm of artificial intelligence and its transformative impact on learning and development. We will explore how AI technologies can revolutionize the way we approach training, engagement, and most importantly, measurable outcomes. Joining us today is Ms. Janani Prakaash, HR Head, Quantela Inc., who will help us decode innovative strategies to harness AI's power in personalizing learning experiences, identifying skill gaps, and driving continuous improvement. Now, before we start the discussion, I would like to quickly take you all through our speaker's profile. So Ms. Janani, as I said, is currently the HR head at Quantela Inc. She's a seasoned HR leader with 16 plus years of rich experience in diverse industries. She excels in people strategies, mergers and acquisition, workforce planning, diversity and inclusion, and business transformation. She has received the Top HR Leader Award India and was also recognized as one of Asia's 100 Power Leaders in HR. Once again, I welcome you, Janani, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Rakhi. I'm looking forward for this session and discussion.
Thank you so much. So let's do that. Let's start our discussion. So, let's start with the basics. I wanted to understand, how do you think artificial intelligence technologies can be effectively integrated into L&D programs to make them more engaging?
Sure. So maybe I'll take a step back before responding to this question on L&D. I want us to think about how is an average employee's profile changing in the last few years, right? Initially, we used to have only two varieties. One, we used to have FTEs, and then we used to have contractors. But right now, we have freelancers, we have robots also working with us, and then we are working with people across different countries. The world has become a global village. Not limiting to that, I think there are 5 generations existing together at a workplace, everyone carrying very different strengths. Now, with this as the outset, now I was recalling, what is it that a mother used to do in olden days when she has to cook 6 varieties for 6 different people? Rightfully so, there was an advertisement that came a few years ago in which she asks everyone, hey, what do you want for breakfast? And everybody says idli, dosa, upma, and then she's able to give everything to everyone, right? So I think it's some different variety advertisement that came many years back. I think that's the spot we are standing today as HR professionals. You take yourself as a talent acquisition lead or learning and development lead or engagement lead. Anywhere, the element is all about personalization. Even you mentioned about personalization in your overview, isn't it, Rakhi? So the question is, how can AI tech be effectively integrated into L&D programs, right? Now, how can it get integrated? Let's see. Let's say there are 5 professionals, 5 people from 5 different age groups, and their learning paths are different, their career ambitions are different. In olden days, we used to say, okay, these next 3 months, these are the 5 learning programs, all of you take this. Now, each one had their own preference, they had their own career paths, their own aspirations, but then there was utterly no personalization. It's like, this is what is made, this is what you need to take. To now, let's say there are 5 people, they have their performance inputs that have come from their manager. There are feedback aspects saying these are areas they need to develop or these are strengths that they can offer. Then there is this entire learning history, their browsing history of what they want to pursue, right? So it somewhere aligns them to their aspirations. And then there is this overall metrics in the organization with respect to how many people are there on bench versus for which skill is there a very high talent acquisition demand. Now, let's look at it. All of this data can get easily integrated to say these are 5 trainings that will run across the organization and everybody has to mandatorily take it. Having said that, there are these 5 people who have their own needs, their own career aspirations. I will provide an integrated solution to you and make it super personalized to you, right? So that's what I think fundamentally AI can do to learning and development. Now, there are multiple benefits to this. There can be data-driven insights that the organization can get, the learners can get, the learning managers can get, the business leaders can get. There can be several insights that can come in. And basis that there can be a lot of benefits with respect to modifying how money is being utilized for learning. Looking at where we need to do build model of skills versus buy model from outside, or should it be a combination of build versus buy? I'm talking about the business ROI, right? Another aspect, maybe, I was thinking about this question. Maybe there are multiple use cases, and I'm trying to delve into just 1 or 2 because each one can be a huge response in itself. I think one important aspect I would want to call out is about gamification. A number of us can be, we are all aware of Kahoot or Slido and all that, right? So much of engagement happens with the audience and the learner that we instantly know that this is how it is and I need to modify. Oh, okay, I've learned it, right? I think these are top of the mind thoughts. Maybe I will pause here and we can engage into a dialogue.
Sure. Thank you so much, Janani, for that. I think I'll take some 4 or 5 key takeaways from what you just shared. Personalization is very important, and AI has enabled that. Today, as you said, previously what would happen, there was a model that will be general for all. It might not be suited for their needs, their skill set that they need to hone or their requirements. But with AI, we can do that. And there is, second thing is data-driven insights, which can help the managers, the training team, the L&D team to more personalize it based on what is it that, is working for this person and what is not working for this person. And I think there I would also like to add how you talked about gamification. I think that is another important tool that can come into picture and play a significant role in transforming how artificial intelligence is driving L&D initiatives today. So thank you so much, Janani, for setting up the context. I think this gives us a lot of food for thought and to explore more upon. So taking one step ahead from this, we talked about the importance of artificial intelligence. Now, when we say artificial intelligence, it is also important that based on our requirements, we understand which is the right AI for us, which is the right AI vendor or partner, which is something that I think organizations struggles with. So what factors do you think organizations should consider when selecting an AI vendor for their L&D initiatives?
Sure. I've worked in very large organizations, mid-sized and small organizations. Everywhere consistently I've seen one thing. There are too many tools, too many automations. And then the biggest struggle when we've grown beyond a certain stage is how do we integrate everything, right? Or should we retain some of the tools because we are so used to them? Now, when we are looking at an additional tool, which is an AI tool, I think we will need to take into consideration whatever the organization already has, Raki. Beyond that, I think it's very important to evaluate the expertise that the AI company that you're looking at to see what expertise do they specifically bring in, what's their USP. what are their learning and development related competency levels as well, because it's an integrated solution. It's not like they are going to bring only AI and then not learning and development. No, it's combination of both, and not limited to that. That particular system should be able to speak with all of our systems, isn't it? And then should also be able to study across the data in different systems and then give a very unique insight that otherwise was never available. So in my view, number one, look at the expertise and reputation of the vendor whichever vendors you're trying to evaluate. I think the company has to first look at that. Next is the domain knowledge, whichever, like AI is what we are looking at here, and the learning and development is another aspect. So what's their knowledge in this? Number three is what's the tech stack they're using, because many times that has to be compatible with whatever tech stacks our systems are already available in, and the integration with the existing system is very key. Then I would definitely look at existing clientele, their ability to scale, their ability to diversify if there is a need, the number of learning courses that they might have brought in a given month, the number of content creators they have, and the varieties of AI tools that they are actually using to create content or to run sessions or everything, right? So that tells us holistic health about this particular vendor that we are trying to evaluate. So I would think we should look at all of these for 3 or 4 vendors that we would want to evaluate, and then pick whoever is most suitable.
Definitely. I think you have given us a lot to, take from there, that it is important, first of all, that we also understand what is our objective with a particular, AI tool that we're looking at, or when we are talking about integrating AI with L&D initiatives, what is the end goal that we are trying to achieve? Based on that, as you said, we will be easily able to evaluate what is the different kind of expertise that or tools that these different AI vendors are offering us, and if that suits us or not. So having that clear objective, I think, plays a really important role here. And integrating also, that you mentioned that the existing tools that we are using and the tools that they are offering, there has to be seamless integration between the two of those. Otherwise, the system will fail, the process will not work. So all those challenges, I think we have to work backwards in order to rectify those first before taking and choosing any AI vendor that we have to go ahead with.
Absolutely. So, I just want to add one point here, Rakhi. It's important for a few people to experience the tool, right? Let's say it's a 1,000-member organization. Very critical to do a 50-member pilot, especially for AI. And then we determine, okay, after 3 weeks of pilot or 4 weeks of pilot, what insights are we getting that we have already never got? In what way is it intruding the data privacy of the organization? That's very critical. In what way are we able to get certain pointers to be able to enhance ourselves overall from a learner perspective or leadership objective perspective, or revamping of the learning and development organization? I think those are also aspects that we need to consider, but a pilot is definitely very important if we are evaluating a vendor.
Definitely. And when it comes to tools and technologies, I think it's essential that we use it first, before actually just buying the product. So if we can get the trial in advance and try to experiment with it, see how it is working, the kind of reports that you mentioned, that if this is something, if we have 4, criteria that we definitely need, if those are being fulfilled by a particular AI vendor or not, is very essential. So thank you so much, Janani, for that. Moving on to our next question, which is, we are already talked about what when it comes to choosing an AI partner, what goes into, like, what should all be considered while approaching them, while implementing, or, while even in the planning stage, what all goes there. So now, taking a step again forward, can you think of any specific AI-powered tools or platforms that have successfully improved employee engagement and learning outcomes, maybe in your organizations, or you have or if you have heard of those tools and technologies that you can share with us, with our audience, and the kind of features, if you can share, like this particular feature this particular platform has?
Yeah, sure. There are these Coursera for Business, Udemy for Business, then you have Percipio by Skillsoft, And then there are these companies like Degreed, they do a thorough skill analysis, and then from there recommend upskilling programs, right? So, and then there are companies like Kahoot or Slido that offer a range of engagement that can get integrated into your learning platforms. That is also very critical because your learner is constantly changing and their attention spans are coming down as well. So given these, these are some top of the mind examples that I'm able to think of. Now, because these are AI powered, my personal example, I'll tell you, let's say I started a particular course in Udemy. It tells me, and let's say 3-4 days, I haven't shown up in Udemy at all. It reminds me saying, hey, do you want to schedule a calendar time? Or it gives me an analytics. As soon as I get in, it just tells me last 2 weeks, you have not done anything. This week, you have done more. So I'm able to see it instantly and feel, oh, I've been extremely inconsistent. Then I can look at data further. Which trainings have I gone in depth and done properly versus which are the areas where I haven't? Then it's a moment of self-reflection for me to say, is it due to interest or is it due to lack of applicability in my job? Or is it something else like schedules that have not permitted for me to sit and do my learning? So what else can I do? Then it already gives me a tip saying calendarize learning. Then it's for me to say, okay, I think in whole of my day, morning 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., nobody disturbs me. So that's my time for learning. So I calendarize learning and I start doing my learning. Now, I'm just giving this very simple example to modify a learner's behavior, right? Now, there are several more things that I'm able to think of with respect to how the AI-powered learning tools can help. Definitely, there can be interactions with the learner, chatting with the learner, like the chatbots integrated, giving instant solutions, adaptive learning, or adaptable learning or adaptable testing also. For example, let's say I'm taking up a test and then it's assessing my ability to understand that particular topic. Let's say you're also taking the same topic, and for both of us, the questions are different. Now, you could argue saying, oh, what is so different about it? Earlier also, we used to have this, questions are just shuffled and given to different people, so we don't copy answers. No, that's not the point. It's Raki's career path is very different. Her learning pace is very different. Janani's is very different. And therefore, now I'm going to completely personalize basis the pace and the learnability of both of these learners. And I'm going to give questions and I'm going to give a rank to them that's only with respect to them, right? So there is no comparison of across 480 learners on this topic, you stand 479th and me feeling very miserable about it. It's about, okay, Janani, your competency level was like this. Now you're improving to this. Great job. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So you're able to get to your next best competency level. So it's that element of hyper-personalization, but through interacting with the learner and the same trainings being offered differently to different people, right from the test to the learning methodology. Let's say Raki is getting disengaged in between. So it suddenly modifies its way of interaction and says, okay, Raki, time for a poll right now. And then you start responding to a poll. And then you suddenly, oh, okay, now it looks like it's getting interesting. After 2 polls, the AI tool is saying, okay, I think Raki likes this. So let me modify some concepts to polls and then demystify her myths on certain topics, right? So it's a very different way for Raki versus, let's say Janani would like to take notes at every stage and then she will pause. She'll write notes and then she'll sit back, think, reflect. So it should say, okay, Janani, would you also like to reflect on 1, 2, 3, 4? Do you also want to say, do you also want to make note of this particular point? You see, the same topic being delivered so differently to 2 different people. And then one last aspect maybe I will call out is, let's say Janani is a morning person and Raki is a night owl. The availability and on the go availability on mobile or every variety of platform, I think that's another very key aspect and aligned to when the learner wants to learn. I think these are aspects that are very special when it comes to AI-powered learning platforms, Rakhi?
Thank you so much. I think you gave us a lot to take from, honestly. You talked about some tools like Udemy, Coursera Business, Degree, definitely great platforms. And I think we in India, I think after the pandemic, what we have observed is not just in India, globally, that there's a lot of focus on digital learning, which was not there before due to a lot of reasons. We did not have the expertise for that, the tools for that. But I think, when pandemic threw challenges at us, it also gave us some opportunities. So the advancement of technologies and using technology in literally all the different sectors and industries has really helped. And when we specifically talk about L&D and how organizations can transform their L&D initiatives, these platforms that you mentioned would definitely help. And you talked about how it can save your time. It will give you as per your schedule. When it came to traditional methods of learning within organizations also, there would be like a certain workshop at this certain date or time, and a training that you have to complete today, or there's a 1 hour program, you can only take it from 3 to 4. But now with these kind of platforms, and also these platforms that organizations themselves are developing for their employees, there is this flexibility in terms of timing, that okay, I can manage my schedule better. There's also more interactivity. Before, if there's a quorum of 100 people, obviously we'll try to take as many questions as we can, but there's always a chance that okay, we might miss out on a few. But with these kind of platforms, you have as many questions as you have, and the questions that automatic quizzes are there, question surveys you can take on the spot. And then rather than taking notes yourself, you can also get notes from the app itself. So there's a lot definitely that has been evolved when it comes to L&D and the way we learn today. And organizations are working towards making things easier and seamless for their employees. So thank you once again for all the points that you shared with us. The platforms, I hope the audience has taken notes and they can check out these platforms later if it suits their requirements, the kind of initiatives that they're looking at, and if these platforms offer those kind of courses, they can check it out. So thank you, Janani. Moving on to the next question. Now we have talked about how artificial intelligence can play a significant role in transforming L&D initiatives. But before, actually, working on creating an L&D initiative, it is also essential that we identify any existing skill gaps, which would be there generally in organizations. So there has to be constant growth for each employee. So when it comes to identifying skill gaps within an organization, how do you think artificial intelligence can play a role in designing targeted L&D interventions? Any examples that you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. So let's say there is an organization that has certain technologies that they are working in, and it's about taking a moment to say, okay, which technologies could become obsolete in the next few months, and who are the people that are there in that. So taking a complete scan of everyone's existing skills. What does the organization need to move to the next level? That's the second insight. These two aspects we need to take into consideration. And then say, I want X number of people to learn Y technology. Let's say we want people to learn core Java or Java, right? Then then to ascertain what is everyone's level in that. Let's say we identified 50 people, and then we said, okay, these 50 people need to reskill because they are in a certain technology that's going to die in next 8 to 10 months. And we don't want to lay off people because we already know we should try and reskill them. To determine what we can do, I think number one is to know what skills they have prior to their current skills. Then it is to say, if Java is the programming language that we want them to take up, then what is their current competency level? Again, you can use AI to just come up with some intuitive questions and then bucket them into basic, intermediate, advanced, and mastery, and then come up with specific learning programs that are already there in one of the AI-powered tools, so that they are able to have self-paced learning, then augment it with some ability of apprenticeship within the organization. Let's say I'm working as a tester today and I want to become a programmer. Then I take up 15% of my time to shadow somebody who's a programmer while I'm learning through my AI-powered AI tool that my organization has provided. Right, that's the example I'm trying to draw. So once that's done, it's like I have learned my skill to a great extent through the tool that's there, the learning tool that's there. I have also learned some level of hands-on through my project. And then again, there is a determination saying, okay, is Janani now ready to move to a role in Java in case that opens up, right? Because my readiness has to be ascertained. Again, I go through a test. And then let's say from basic, I have moved to advanced right now. The test also can be again AI powered, basis my own learning and all that. Now, the beauty is you can say, what is there very different? It's like there is a learning you're going through, and then you're going through a hands-on on the job training. No, in AI powered learning tools, you have project-based learnings. You have multiple handouts that are given where you're provided case studies. You should solve the case study to move forward. So your ability to think about that particular technology or that particular topic that you're trying to elevate yourself in is much different when compared to a one-day training that we might attend. In addition to this, I would still not completely discount virtual instructor-led learning programs or conversations like these, because they are all very rich and there is a huge human element in that, right? So if you just combine all of this, I think an organization can certainly go to the next level in terms of closing the skill gap using AI, but AI alone cannot close the skill gap.
Sure. I mean, we all humans only invent technologies, and it has to be run by humans also. We cannot be totally dependent on these robots that we have to run the show. So all the points that you have shared is absolutely correct. And talking about how we have to identify, how we can identify organizations, how they can identify the skill gap for each particular employee. We have the data for that. We can use data analytics. HR tech, as we are discussing, comes into play there. And moreover, human intervention is important. There has to be, it can't be just human at this point or just AI for that point. It has to be a combination and a team player of both AI and humans running the show together. And when we say that, okay, these kind of virtual seminars, workshops also that we have, there's a lot that we shared through our presentations, a video that we have created, all that is technology itself. So that only helps us explain things better. And I think it is important that we maintain that. So thank you so much, Janani, again, for sharing your insights here. Now, moving to something which is very important and should be discussed is ethical considerations. So, ethical considerations are important in any AI application. In fact, I was just looking at this post it was a very basic post that talked about brides from different parts of India, or how Indians would look in a certain scenario. It was AI powered pictures, and Americans or British for that matter, and it was very stereotyped. So we have to negate that, right? We don't want to because humans, as in, are have this habit of stereotyping people of certain race or of certain region. But when it comes to AI, how we can overcome that challenge. So in the context of AI enhanced L&D, what ethical concerns do you think organizations should be mindful of?
Yeah. It's a very critical question, and ever since technology has been evolving, I think ethical considerations and security aspects have been really on the radar. Now, number one, I would think is the entire user's information, Rocky. Let's say I'm browsing certain trainings, I'm going through certain trainings. Let's say my entire company's information of all the learners are available to a hacker. They'll be able to figure out many things about my company. right? There can be anything that can happen just from this data. We call it just from this data, but it is huge data. So a lot of consideration has to be given when we are identifying a vendor to say what is their data privacy policy like, how has their history been, and to what level users should provide data. So there has to be some level of autonomy, no, a lot of autonomy to the user to say, okay, this data, I don't want you to go to incognito, and then I don't want you to study my pattern of behavior right now, right? It's a choice that the user is making. I think that's very critical, and organizations should consider that and give that autonomy to the user while they're also thinking about data privacy. That these are two very important points. Next one is to your earlier point on stereotyping, right? There are programmers that have written these algorithms. And then, yes, AI has deep learning abilities, machine learning, all that happens. And therefore, with a lot of data that's coming in through the interactions with users, it's learning and it's evolving its answers. But the point is, there are certain biases that are already inbuilt. And then if it's learning more, it's again learning more from different biases that people are holding. So whatever AI can provide will not be 100% perfect. There will be an element of accuracy issue, and humans will need to intervene, right? Now, from a learning perspective, if you see, let's say when ChatGPT came first, a lot of us were doing a lot of experiments, right? So in the first week or so, some of us were doing an experiment, and we said, okay, 11 plus 11 is equal to, it said 22. We said, no, 23. 3-4 times when I said 11 plus 11 is 23, it said, oh, I'm sorry, I'll change my answer. 11 plus 11 is equal to 23. So it's like we could directly see that the tool is just learning, and then it's responding with the new information that it has got. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that while you're learning through an AI tool, it has to be an augmented effort to what's already available. Pay more attention to the instructor that's talking through in the session or through the recordings than only the AI tools or what it's saying. Another aspect is, let's say in the earlier example that I was saying, hyper-personalization in learning and all that. Now, the machines can think of, okay, this is how it is, and therefore maybe Janani has to go through this training, or Janani is bad in this. There are two things that can happen. Number one, I start feeling very low because of the repeated learning requirements of a particular topic that's coming despite of my effort. As a learner, it can affect my morale and motivation also, right? So data should not be taken literally. That's one part. The other part is, it's giving me certain recommendations, but it's having whatever data I have fed it. I have to be cognizant of it from a learning perspective. And sometimes it could be a huge deviation from what the organization wants. So when leadership is viewing data of different learners, they have to take it with a pinch of salt, saying this is not perfect. Maybe there is some data that the individual has not provided, or learner behavior that has not been studied by AI. And therefore, it's giving us certain things. So let's have a conversation with these 8 people where we do not have complete insight into. You see, instead of just going directly with data, I think conversations should come in. So these are just some thoughts I think companies should be very careful of when it comes to ethics in AI, because there is a lot of personal intrusion that's happening, isn't it? Earlier, I think from several years back, when one of the countries was saying, okay, everyone will be tracked, then our country was talking about data privacy and all, and we all felt, oh, it's too much intrusion. But today, as we speak, each one of us is intruded. And to a large extent, I think number of us are okay, because it's making our jobs easier. Right now, if I go browse something, I get a recommendation in a couple of minutes. When I go to any other website like Facebook or Instagram, it tells you, hey, I think you're looking for this course. I think you're looking for this. It's all due to my browsing patterns. Somewhere it's also directing me to what I want. And then we think, oh, okay, I think this is what I needed and I've been given, right? So it's helping. Therefore, I'm okay to give data. But the point is, what is the limit is something both the organization and at individual level, we will need to take calls, and controls need to be provided in systemically to enable these. That's what I would say when it comes to ethics.
Sure, I think we all agree to what you just said. It's important that, we have been talking about data privacy for a long time now. And as you said, if I Google something and I'm on my social apps and I see, okay, this is what you're looking for. It's like, okay, you just heard my mind. We laugh, when we get these, but then it's to a certain point, as you mentioned, it's fine if it is directing to what we are looking at, what we want. But then at the same point, it should also be restricted to a certain point where there's no, abuse of data in terms of you're selling our data to some third party, which we have not given our consent to. So those kind of, regulations has to be in place. And when we are choosing our partners, I think when we talked about AR vendors, there's this one point that I think we should definitely look for. If they have a proper data privacy policy in place, that would only help us, achieve what we're looking for instead of just abusing what we are getting. So thank you, Janani, for that. Now my next question is something that we have discussed a bit, but just to get more into it, we often hear about the power of analytics and data insights that we have been discussing. How do you think AI-driven analytics can help measure the effectiveness of L&D initiatives and, identify areas maybe that needs to be improved and to be bettered upon?
Okay. See, I'll give you two examples here. Okay, one is at an individual level, another is at L&D initiative level. At an individual level, I was talking to a close friend a few days back. He took several hours to write down his life goals. Okay. So it was a lot of thinking, and then he had written and we were discussing. Then I asked him, okay, how do you know if these are only your goals? How do you ascertain this? Then what he said was very interesting. He went to his YouTube learning history, or like the video watching history, the bank sites where he had gone and viewed certain videos or studied documents. Then he had viewed Udemy courses or any other courses, like different enrollments that he has, right? He went through everything and then he identified patterns. Today, in his system, that pattern did not exist. But then all he could do was, okay, this is my pattern, and are these patterns aligning to what I have written as my life goals? Now, personally, how it can help is, this is a great example, right? Sometimes I think, okay, I think I want to fly and I want to become an astronaut. But what is the background work that I've ever done to get to that direction? Have I been thinking, or is it a moment's dream for me? To differentiate between that, I think data certainly helps quite a lot. Now, with respect to organization, it's important that one side, you need to know what people should get trained on. It's very easy for you to get a license in an AI-powered tool and say, okay, all of you go train yourself. They'll not train themselves. Then you're not going to get your ROI. So it has to be directed in a certain way. Then it is to say all the mandatory trainings, let's say ethics and integrity, diversity, equity, inclusion, basics of ChatGPT, or basics of whatever that organization is. Let's say it's healthcare industry, fintech industry, the industry related trainings, just make it mandatory for everyone. And then you see learning hours happening, people's ability to do that kind of a job is okay. Then it's important to do this skill metrics, identify which level of mastery they have, like competency levels, and then give specific recommendations. So I think that level of work has to happen. If we do it systemically and methodically, I think movement of competency level from one number to another number upwards is a great measure. Number two, the number of certifications that people are able to get, not the certificate of completion if you complete a 1 hour online learning. But let's say I go for a different certification outside, which is very important for my organization. But for that, I have used several of my internal tools. The number of certifications is directly going to increase organizations' outlook, right? Like how vendors will look at us, or how a potential partner or our client could look at us. I think the organizational positioning can get enhanced. Then my ability to deliver my job, how my productivity is improving / not improving. That's very important. So productivity metrics are very key. And again, that will help us to say, is this effective or not effective? Number 4 is engagement and retention. Very important. Interestingly, few days back, we have a performance management tool, and we were just looking at some metrics. And we thought, okay, let's look at how many check-ins have happened in this particular group, and how there has been any impact. We were just trying to see any related numbers, right? So there was a group where there were more interactions between managers and team members. And then that group apparently had higher engagement levels. Their overall performance was better. So their entire department rating was better. And therefore, their ability to get paid was better. You see, there is a direct correlation to multiple of these data points. Now, how we are able to intelligently integrate these disparate data points and say, okay, learning is also happening so much in this group, and then it's getting proven through all of these different metrics. I think that's also very key. Now, can this be done always by an AI tool? No. AI tool will give you some insights, but then you should be able to see different varieties. You have a lot of understanding of the ecosystem that a tool might not have, because what we feed is what it knows. What's happening on the floor, it does not know. So how we are able to integrate some of those understandings and able to elevate the effectiveness of learning, I think that's the key. But these are few definite metrics that we can look at. And by the way, last year, I think the Michael Page report, I think, was saying people who left organizations predominantly left because they wanted to go to a place where there is more learning and development opportunity. And people who stayed back in organizations, they stayed back because that organization was providing more learning and development opportunity. So there is a thrive that everyone is going through, saying, I want to learn more. I want to be relevant more. That's why I think probably moonlighting and other things are happening also, right? So I think it has to cater to that. And invariably, your attrition percentage is going to be less if there is more investment in learning and it's getting utilized in day-to-day work as well.
Definitely. I mean, again, all the points that you have shared with us, how L&D initiatives with integration of AI can transform various areas that we want more focus upon. It can help us engage better with our employees, their retention, top talent retention, I think definitely comes in picture here. Then engagement, you talked about productivity. It's like, it's that there's a term that says it's that effect. I'm forgetting the term, but then it just keeps on multiplying. If your the first point is correct and you're in the right direction, it will keep multiplying for you in many folds.
Effect maybe, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, we can say that. So it's like, if we have the correct metrics that we are measuring, and we have designed our L&D initiatives keeping those in mind, I think we can transform various programs and can help our employees also to stay in the organization. They would also like, as you mentioned, if we are looking at like growth opportunities within the organizations itself, it's like if you're leaving, there's one essential point is of I do not have better L&D initiatives in this organization. That's why I'm moving out. So that is important, I think. And India, if I talk about India is a country of youth. And we are a generation, if we talk about Gen Z these days, we have a lot well, we have a lot of them, right? And a lot of them have started recently in the past 2-3 years, started working as well. In terms of when we start working in India, that's basically 21 years. That's a general age for everybody who starts. So, and there's a lot to learn with technology. It's like, even if my profile was just of a marketer, I have to understand technologies which is suited to my profile. It's essential. I can't, if I'm not from an IT background, that does not mean that I don't have, like, I can work without learning technology. It's like essential these days. So many opportunities, if the organization can themselves provide these opportunities to these employees and identify those skill gaps and fulfill them, I think it would be great for both the employees as well as the employers. So thank you, Janani. I think we are running a little short on time. I'll just take one more question from my end, and then we'll move on to the audience Q&A. I can already see some 8-9 questions that have lined up. So I'll just request you to help me with this last question, because, having discussed everything, it all comes to ROI, right? At the end of the day, we are all organizations. We have to have that ROI. The business has to run. So when it comes to ROI, how do you think integrating AI and L&D initiatives can lead to cost savings?
Sure. Maybe I will give quick responses to this because there are a lot of questions from audience as well. I think reduced cost with respect to content creation itself. It's very easy today with AI for you to create content, put a deck together, create videos. Everything can happen in an hour's time, versus earlier it could have been like 4 days and that many number of people working, and then you'll still have errors and all of that, right? That's point number one. Then definitely reduced training time for people that are creating content or facilitators. I think some level of baseline with respect to technology, I think it's more than sufficient. Because of this, how they are able to translate their time to experience of the learner, I think that's very key. And that's another area where you can actually measure ROI, because let's say you have a learning organization with a growth mindset, then your definitely your revenue is going to increase, your shareholder value is going to improve, because your customers are going to be very happy. But everything could boil down to your L&D strategy and your AI-powered tool that's supporting it, and how you are intelligently using it as a human being. So that's another important point. Now, a lot of reporting and analytics are continuously coming on the way of the business leaders, the CEO, the learners themselves, and then the learning managers as well. So it's constantly giving something, and what gets measured gets done. I'll give you an example. I've been doing yoga for like 13 years, and I also walk and all that. But then ever since I got a smartwatch that constantly measures that, yes, this is the time I would have already finished a workout, or this is the time I would have already walked. It tells me, hey, Janani, you can still do it. You're not close to the circles today. So it's not about adding pressure, but it's saying, okay, I cannot just like that feel good saying, yeah, I've done it, or I don't feel like doing it. It does nudge me saying, I will do better. I should do it. So I say, okay, let me just combine it with something that I like, and then I will do it, right? So that way, I think individually, everybody gets nudged to use the data better or use the platform better, and therefore ROI automatically improves. Finally, I think these are very fast, much scalable. Several people can use geographically very geographically, you can just create projects and make people across different places to come into cohorts and then do this. I think that's a beautiful feature that AI has enabled. I think these are all aspects that are definitely going to increase ROI, because the same tool at a different geography could be very different. Or let's say AI is not enabling this, you will have to spend money in the US very differently versus in India. In Europe very differently versus in another country, right? So I think these are ways you're automatically managing to get your ROI. In fact, it's much better with AI, I must say, if we use it rightly.
Definitely, all the points that you mentioned, and you also talked about the attrition rate. If our employees are upskilled, reskilled, our attrition rate automatically improves. So if we have a skilled workforce and we are constantly helping them evolve themselves and grow in their careers, I think the business would work wonders. So thank you, Janani, for that. And thank you once again. It was really insightful, discussing these questions with you. And there's a lot that we have taken from this. Just quickly move on to the audience Q&A. We'll try to take as many as we can. So the first question is, all of these, I think we have somewhat covered. If you would just want to conclude that. So the first question is, if you can share some best L&D practices which involve use of artificial intelligence.
Okay, very quickly, maybe I'll just give headlines because I elaborated on some of these, I guess.
Yes, sir.
So definitely deciding where we want to invest in learning, I think that can happen. A lot of like engagement with audience through gamification can happen. Personalization can happen. Then analytics, data and analytics is definitely a huge part. Yeah, maybe these 4-5 points for now, because I've explained this in a very elaborate manner.
Yes, we have discussed this. And in case the question, the attendee who's asked this question, you can always go back to this recording and listen to Janani explain it in a much elaborative manner. So you can always watch it and come back to us in case you still have any questions. We'll be happy to help you out. Okay, moving to the next question. This also we have taken, if you can just take the names of these tools. It says, what are some best AI tools in the market to enhance learner engagement?
I think I mentioned Udemy, Percipio by Skillsoft, then Kahoot and Slido for engagement. You also have few more. Poll Everywhere is also there. Then Coursera is another one. Degreed is another one. Yeah, these are what I'm able to remember.
Sure, thank you. I'm sure that helps. There's a question by Ramesh asking, how can I get the demo in greytHR? Ramesh, our team will get back to you on this, and we would definitely like to give you the demo of greytHR. We'll get back on the details. Next question, getting a budget for incorporating an AI tool is a challenge because of the high cost involved. What kind of ROI does this tool bring out that will enable us to get budget approved? I think we just concluded that in the last question, but if you would just want to, share something more.
Yeah, so I would think it's important to put the business case rightly, right? You have to take few case studies of similar organizations, how AI enabled tools have actually helped the organization really well, and how multiple implications have happened. I think I have provided a high level view on how several positives can exist if you're utilizing an AI tool. But customized to your organization, I think you will need to put a proposal together. Lot of market data is available. Lot of information is available thanks to AI once again. If you do not have questions, you can even ask AI how you should structure your presentation for making it successful, right? So there is just so much resource available. I think with that, if you're able to go and talk about, okay, this will be the cost that you will spend, but this will be potential impact, I think you will definitely be able to overcome it, and maybe start it small. I would say, whoever asked this question, take one particular area. Let's say talent acquisition is where you want to use, or any one area. Just take one area, learn it, use it, and then show some results already. Then you will also know, others will also know, and then next time they are not going to say, no, I don't think we can pay for this, right? I think prioritization is always a problem, but not anymore. I think every company is also looking at how do I make sure my employees are able to get the highest employee experience. So they will also be okay to invest.
Sure. And yeah, thank you, Janani, for that. Moving on to the next question. Again, we did discuss this, but if you just want to conclude, what kind of dashboards are generated via AI tools?
Several dashboards, like your performance management, how many conversations have taken place, how those are correlated with surprises in performance discussions at the end of the year or middle of the year. how this data can be transported into your learning system, how that has a relationship with improvement in performance back again. I'm just taking two tools and giving a comparison so that you're able to immediately understand how individually learners are able to see how their journey is and how someone can create personalized learning journeys, right? That's a great feature that all these AI tools are already providing. And then dashboards are available at a CEO level, at a learner level, and at a manager level. I think I did speak about this at length. I see some of these questions have come before 4:15, 4:20, so maybe we've covered those.
Yeah, I'll move on to the next question. We did discuss about a human intervention here, but again, if you would want to share more, with the increasing trend of AI, would you feel that the role of a HR would become redundant? Today, we have a large team of recruiters, payroll, and ops. All those are some of the automatable fields. Would AI and automation mean the job role becomes redundant? I think this is one question that we ask, no, will ChatGPT replace AI, humans? So I think that is on the same lines.
Yeah, maybe I will take the ChatGPT route here, right? Let's say you ask some very tricky question. It says, "I'm sorry, I'm only a bot," or like I'm written through algorithms. So there is a level of self-awareness that even an AI bot has. I think it's about us to say, okay, what are my unique skills as human beings? As a human being, right? Self-awareness is certainly one. Problem solving, critical thinking, I think these are very critical ones. Why? Because when COVID happened, AI did not come and give us any solution. Human beings gave it. Wherever we have solutions from the past, I think tools can make patterns out of it and say, okay, if this is how past has been, this is how future can be. But let's also remember that in the past, we might have had 2 or 3 generations working together. And right now we have 5 generations. People's interests have changed. Financial abilities have changed. Job and career, the meaning to job and career has evolved so much. Purpose is taking highest prominence when it comes to people deciding to do whatever they are doing in life. All these used to come at the age of 60, much before. Today, I have 24-year-olds saying, I've joined this organization because I think it aligns with my individual purpose. So all I'm trying to say is AI could help basis past and give a prediction for future. Will that be perfect? The answer is no. You will still need to use your human element. So will all our roles become obsolete? No, it may not. Some parts of the roles will remain, some parts will get automated, and we will need to accept it. See, it is always, let me put it this way. My mother was a stenographer, okay? She was typing in the older days, typewriting machines. When computers came, the typing was same. And the ability to be able to delete something, take a print, proofread, everything was very different. So technology came and enhanced her ability to operate. Then maybe for the next generation, there is a dictate option. So you don't even need to type. So if you see, all of this is just helping us to do our jobs easier, not limiting to that. Because a lot of things are getting automated, it's forcing us to say, okay, what more can I do as a human being? So it's elevating our overall positioning in the ecosystem. And yeah, I think we should just enjoy that status.
Sure. I mean, I was in a panel discussion some weeks back, and there was a point that one of the panelists mentioned about when computers were introduced. There was, in fact, an ad in print newspaper that says, ban this. How will, students learn, or what will be the role of teachers if we have computers now? So it's just, as you rightly mentioned, it is to enhance our skills only. And we are talking about L&D here. We are talking about upskilling ourselves. So if we can keep up with the new tools and technologies that are coming up and are able to, effectively use them, I think nobody can replace us. Humans can be never replaced. ChatGPT is not going to take away our jobs. So it's going to be there. It's just you have to be upskilled and reskilled constantly. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Janani. I think we have already passed our time. The rest of the questions also that have come in, we have covered all of these. In case we will, as I mentioned in the starting, that we will share the recording with you all. You can always go through the recording, and in case you still have any questions, you can always come back to us. There's a link that I would like to share with everybody. Can we have the screen share, please? Okay, thank you so much. So we have a Grey Tribe community. It's a knowledge sharing platform where we have HR experts who can guide you with your queries, such in the the questions that you had today. It's also you can log into this Grey Tribe community and you can put across your questions there, and we would guide you. Or you can always watch our recording, which we will share with you. It's also available on our greytHR YouTube channel. Some of the previous webinars that we have done would also be there. So thank you so much once again. Thank you so very much, Janani, for joining us and sharing all these great insights. It was a pleasure having you, and there's a lot that we have learned.
Thank you so much, Rakhi. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and thank you, audience. I think you asked some very good questions and you've been very patient all through. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our dear attendees as well for making it successful. Until the next webinar, take care. Have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you.